Welcome back to Booze, Bros, and Cars, Motorsports Edition, your favorite podcast about booze and cars. And we're your hosts. I'm Eric.
I'm Carmelo.
All right. And we are going to, of course, start off with what we're going to be drinking here tonight. So I've had one of their beers before, but I took a very, very tiny sample of this, and so far I'm really enjoying it. But it's from Equilibrium. It's their Graceland. So this is a imperial stout with peanut butter, marshmallow, and bananas. I am so stoked to drink this because marshmallow and bananas is probably, and peanut butter are probably my favorite things in imperial stouts. So I'm really stoked to actually drink that. What do you got, Carmelo?
That actually sounds really good. It almost sounds like the marshmallow fluff sandwiches I used to make as a kid with like peanut butter, marshmallow fluff, and banana. You know, that sounds like a little bit of childhood in a sip.
Yeah.
So, but I have Keel Farms. They have a pineapple cider, really good. And Keel Farms, I don't know if you guys have heard of them at all, but they're a smaller brewery at Plant City. So it's just a friend of mine was in the area, picked one up, and it's a sour, but more tart than sweet, which is better. But it's really, really good. Gala apple is kind of like the flavoring that I'm getting off the initial sip. But man, looks like it's going to be a good drink for the show.
Nice. Awesome. All right. So we haven't exactly done a motorsports podcast in quite a bit of time throughout the month. I mean, we've had like kind of random stuff that came up. My trip up to North Carolina, Thanksgiving, kind of a couple of other things that kind of came about, but we're here back at it. We haven't really talked, as I mentioned, motorsports a lot, but the last couple of races of Formula One, we're not going to exactly recap those because they happened, quite a bit of time ago. So it's kind of defeats the purpose to actually just bring that up. But one thing in the motorsports news that did kind of come up within the last week was, I'm sure you guys have heard, but Toto Wolff and his wife Susie Wolff, they were being investigated by the FIA. Supposedly what the rumor is that Susie Wolff was giving information to Toto Wolff that he should not have received, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, Carmelo, I believe it was like spend gaps within the teams and things like that. If that was to be true, it's a huge slap on the wrist for her because it's a conflict of interest between her and her husband, Toto Wolff. So as far as I know, it does look like the FIA dropped their investigation. Yep. But yeah, like, there's been teams already saying that. I'm sure you saw Carmelo all over social media.
Every team, I think, with the exception of Mercedes, and obviously they're not going to post something on themselves, but every team said that they didn't, that they didn't call this to action. And the majority of the team principals or CEOs, including, Brown over at McLaren, agreed that Zach Brown, that it wasn't going to be there. But the thing that I found interesting was a lot of people jumped to the conclusions, FIA is looking into it. What happened was the FIA got a complaint of, sharing of information. And because of the relationship that both the Wolves have, or their positions in Formula One, plus their marital relationship, they had to have done a probe, if you will, where they had to look into it. Because if not, I mean, do you remember, years ago when Max won, the season was at 21 when Max won his first world title? Mercedes and Red Bull were firing at each other and, trying to get the other team penalized for whether it's the wings where, who was it? Was it, I think Lewis Hamilton, one of the Mercedes car's wings was a few millimeters too big, and somehow Red Bull spotted it, called it, and he took a penalty in Brazil back in 21. Like, FIA has to look into it, and I don't think I saw a statement from the FIA, and most fans like us don't read their manuals or books, but if there is a legitimate complaint, or a complaint that the FIA believes, could be negatively impact them without looking into it, they're going to look into it. And so, from
Yeah.
everything that I've seen, all the reports I've read, the videos that I've watched, it looks like somehow a complaint was made to the FIA or the FOM, the Formula
Hmm.
One managers, and they looked into it. And so, I think there was a lot of misinformation with news entities saying it's a full blown investigation.
Yeah.
They looked into it, and it was quickly unfounded if you think about how long the FIA has taken for some decisions and some of their investigations. For them to come within, I believe it was a week of the initial complaint, if not less, 5 days, give or take. Um, you know, it's, and I want to say, yeah, every team made a statement saying that they were, you know, against the complaints. They were not
Yeah.
responsible for it.
Yeah, and it was the exact same statement that everybody made. It's just tweaked based off of the
Right.
team name itself. So
The team name, and there might have been some personal touches, but
yeah,
as
exactly.
much I don't know much about Susie Wolf, but Toto, he's been one to complain to even with Andretti and Cadillac coming in, he's been very vocal about how he's against them.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm almost hoping, and I don't think it will. He's been way too successful financially and in his Formula
Hmm.
One career as a team principal, but maybe this will humble him a little bit because he is normally one of the first ones to point fingers. If you remember the last race at 21, he's almost crying over the radio. Michael, don't do this, Mikey.
Mikey,
You
no.
know,
Yeah,
exactly. Like
yeah,
he's the first
yeah,
one to point fingers and to stir up the pot.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then
And to your, I don't think it's gonna humble him. It's
I wish
just
it would.
total Wolf's persona or personality. I don't think it's gonna humble him. But in regards to Susie Wolf, she, as far as I kind of read, she is actually head of the Formula One. Oh my god, the academy.
The Drivers Academy.
She's
Yep.
the program. She's in
Yep.
charge of that. So I can see how she could acquire information in regards to spend gas between teams because she is head of the F1 Academy program. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, as far as the FIA knows, I'm sure that they did a very quick investigation with possibly through emails and text messages, per their authorization or Toto Wolf's and Susie's authorization. They probably checked everything relatively quickly and found nothing. So
Yeah.
that was
And I
dropped
mean,
within what, like a day or two, I think.
I think it hit media, and I want to say it was like 3 to 5 days because I think there was a delay for it hitting media. I
Oh
can't
yeah, yeah, maybe
remember. Was it AlphaTauri? I can't remember who I
one
saw
of
it
the
from
teams.
first.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the
Yeah,
lower end teams, bottom five teams. I saw it originally on my news feed, and I was like, "That's weird." I'm
yeah.
like, "What are they talking about?" So I looked into it, but within
Mm-hmm.
3 to 5 days, they dropped it. Now, honestly speaking, if there's some pillow talk going on, the FIA will never be able to prove it.
Oh, for
But
sure. Yeah, they're not gonna be able to.
no, and I think, is that a possibility? Yes, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it'd be anything overly detrimental. So,
I don't think so either. But it is what it is. I know that I was gonna make a point on here. Oh, that actually Total Wolf is actually pursuing legal actions against the FIA. I overheard. Um, I don't know how true that is, but do I blame him for wanting to pursue legal actions? No. Especially if the FIA didn't exactly take the proper steps to investigate this first. I can see where he would be a little frustrated, but I
I
don't know.
mean,
Again, it is what it
I don't.
is.
I mean, uh, working for a government entity, I understand how there's complaints and things
Mm-hmm.
need to be looked at. And do I think there should have been like a probe or some sort of like review into the complaint? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
With someone just looking into it, but I don't think that. there's grounds for any type of lawsuit from what's been shared with us.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the end of November, the FIA did make a statement, and the FIA president, Mohammed Saloom, said that he could be bringing Michael Massey back in the fold. So I'm wondering if Toto is kind of pulling this from the side now that he has some leverage, because Toto is a
Mhm.
great businessman. But I'm wondering if this is Toto's way of trying to leverage either Cadillac or Andretti, or trying to one up the FIA.
I've got no idea. Maybe it's possible.
Yeah,
Toto's
but
not a dumb person. He's very, very intelligent, and his
manipulative,
um
very professionally
yeah,
in a business aspect, in a capitalistic standpoint. I'm not trying.
yeah,
That's not a negative statement. But
yeah. But anyways, aside from that, nothing really else has been very exciting within motorsports world because it is the end of the year, and at this point, we really don't hear or see much about anything motorsports related outside of just kind of random things like this. And we'll also see randomly here and there, just kind of like just random stuff. Like I think FAF Motorsports, or I forgot who it was that is actually taking over the C8 Corvette. Oh, Pillar Millar or something like that. One of the race teams. I forgot. Don't quote me on that. I'm probably butchering that, but one of the teams there that they have the GT3R C8s. They're doing a lot of testing on them. I think they were here at Sebring in Florida, and they're kind of just doing testing. Just been seeing that throughout social media that they've been posting pictures, and a few random photographers here and there have been posting pictures of the car like on track. Um, and aside from that, I mean, like here locally, we do have some pretty stoked news, which is that we actually have our first scheduled autocross event for January, which is going to be January 6th and 7th. For those of you guys that are local and you are interested in autocrossing, it's going to be through Gulf Coast Autocrossers. They do their autocrosses at Buckingham Airport in Lehigh. I live like 15 minutes away, so it's very, very close to me and it's very convenient. I will be running the Corvette because the clutch on the Corvette seems fine for now. um, Especially after taking it up to the tail of the dragon and pushing the car there a bit. I realized that the clutch can probably hold up a little bit more abuse than what I was really expecting it to. So I'm gonna be running at that event. How much would it take the abuse? We shall see.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I went autocrossing last week. Still have some stuff I have to put on the Mustang. At some point, I think Eric and I will go over our builds on a motorsport segment, or might even break that
Mm.
off to an R ride segment, or we'll come up with a better name for that. But yeah, so I should be there. I was autocrossing last Saturday. I prefer the test and tunes until I get my car exactly where I want it.
Mm.
Plus, being in the cam traditional class, there's not many people in there, and so typically the cars that are there are prepared. Where my
Mm.
car is mostly street, so probably like street prepared would be the class that would be if I went into FS. But those are newer model Camaros and cars that have roughly double the power that I have. But um, we'll see. I had some hiccups on the way home last week, and I'm still trying to diagnose. I believe it's been corrected, but I'll have to put some more miles on the Mustang before I can confirm that I'll be there the first week of January.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I was actually talking to Mike um on Friday. He actually might be joining us on that weekend, but
Oh, good.
he said that he might be joining us on Sunday because Saturday he has to work. He's in the beer industry, so he's got events and stuff like that lined up that he's got to work. So he'll be able to join us on Sunday. So if you're up for Sunday, I know that you like the test and tune day, but that's more than likely the day that I'm gonna go, because
Okay.
I'll go with him, because
So,
I think it's only his second time autocrossing, and I
mhm.
kind of don't want to just leave him just like trying to
No, of
figure
course
things out
not.
for himself. So
Yeah, no. And you know what? I'll actually be out of town that week. My anniversary is the weekend before, but
oh,
I,
gotcha.
due to work, so a work event that I have to be present for that weekend, we're going out of town the following. So it doesn't look like I'll be able to race till the first weekend in February,
Oh, gotcha.
unfortunately.
Okay. Oh,
It
dang,
wasn't
that
until you
kind of
said the
sucks.
7th that it clicked, because we,
Yeah.
our last night there, we're going up to Helen, Georgia
Oh,
for
okay.
a couple nights.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. Where's
Yeah,
that at? Is
but
that up like by Blue Ridge or stuff, or where's that up by?
so it's closer. It's north of Atlanta, but it's basically a small town, but it has very Dutch or Germanic architecture. So it's almost
Okay.
like if you were to look it up or go to TikTok or Instagram, it's almost like a small little piece of Germany in the middle of the
Hmm.
U.S. or
I
I
think
guess
I've
the
actually
southeast
seen
United
that.
States.
I think I've seen
So
that they have like a few German pubs, and they have like German restaurants and things like that. I
yep,
actually think I have seen that.
bakeries
That's
and
kind of cool. That's
yeah,
awesome.
something different, and where
Yeah.
we got a cabin for a few days, but
Nice. That's
and
awesome. You guys will definitely
realistically,
enjoy that.
oh yeah, definitely in it. And the good thing is it gives me a little more time to diagnose the Mustang. I don't think we talked about it since last Saturday, but last Saturday I shared some videos with Eric. My first autocross in probably 3 or 4 months. Second
Hmm.
time bringing out the Mustang. First time on the new SR coilovers. What other suspension mods do I have? I have upper control arms, but they're stamped. So I just got in some new BMR uppers. I have BMR lowers that I haven't installed yet. Rear sway bar, upgraded brakes. I ended up doing the ATS-V or ATS Performance kit, Brembos for the front. And there's a small company um, that CNCs
How are
the
the
bushings.
how are the brakes on that for the ATS? Because I know a lot of drifters, they were using the CTSV OEM Brembo brakes because they're very aggressive, but they found them to be too aggressive, so they ended up removing them and just doing what everybody does, which is Z32 calipers. So what's your input on those brakes? Because I mean, Cadillac Brembos are really aggressive brakes, so I was curious how they
They
are.
are. They are.
Yeah.
And through some of the threads that I was looking at, someone said that it's actually the same Brembo as the newer model Camaros as
Mm-hmm.
their Brembo upgrade. I they are a different GM part number, so I can't confirm that. But I've read through numerous sources that the ATS are the same as the Camaro upgrades. But basically, the going back to what you were saying, I had an issue with the calipers or not the calipers, but the brake pads that I ordered. Ordered
Mm-hmm.
brake pads and high performance. I think were Z32 brake pads, and at the time I couldn't get the brake pads that I wanted to. Um, I mean, what was the EBC? I was looking for EBC brake pads, and unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
they were out or they weren't in stock
Mm-hmm.
when I was trying to get them. So what I was doing, I ended up going to AutoZone and just getting some, $60 pads,
Why don't you use hard
and
pads?
I couldn't get them in time for the autocross. I
Hard,
had everything. I had everything
hard,
set up.
because
Good.
honestly, the only manufacturer for brake pads that I use is Hawk. Like I've been using Hawk since I had my Speed 3.
Mm-hmm.
They're aggressive enough where you can use them for autocrossing or for spirited
Mm-hmm.
driving, but they're also comfortable enough where you can actually daily drive the car and you won't have any issues. So
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
know that
mean,
EBC makes very, very good brake pads, but
mhm,
honestly, with my experience with hard pads, because I use them on my Speed 3, I use them on my BRZ when I had it because I changed the brake pads on it once,
yeah.
and I'm now using them on my Corvette. Any car that I'm using for just spirited driving, autocrossing, or abusing, I'm using hard pads because, and anywhere that I purchase them from, they always have them in stock. Like I bought them from. Don't quote me on this. I think it wasn't Texas Speed. It was another. What is the other one? There's like another one that sells stuff for Corvettes. I can't remember what website it is, but it's like a competitor to Texas Speed, but they
Okay.
had them in stock, and I got them in a few days.
See, nice, because when I was looking, I'm not, I'm indifferent with Hawk. I had a set of Hawks on the Mini Cooper that I had, and they, to me, and I don't remember which level, they just seemed to be like a OEM plus
Yeah.
for what I was having. And I've had great success in the past. I mean, I've been autocrossing off and on for over a decade. I've had EBC in my original Mustang. Um, I had it in my Honda Fit. Granted, I didn't autocross that, but it made a world of difference when I put them on. Had them in the Mini, so I have some decent experience with them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're my go to. I think it was like a 2 week um, shipping time, and
Mm-hmm.
so at that point I wasn't. I was like, let me just try to get something cheap from LMR. I was ordering stainless steel brake pads and rotors. LMR had these other brake pads available. I was going to get them in 3 days, which means they would have shipped on a Wednesday. My install date was Friday, and then I'd be autocrossing the following weekend. It was actually my install date was Thanksgiving, so it was the day after Thanksgiving
Mm-hmm.
evening, and the day after that I installed everything from SNS, and it all went together well. But no, if anything, I want a little more bite, and what I would have to do for that would just be upgrade the pads. But no, I'm happy with it. I know the XTS, the kind of like XTS. I don't know if there's a V or if they have another Brembo, whether it's a performance or whatever their variant is.
I think the
People were
XTS
buying.
is the SUV.
So there is Brembos for the XTS,
Okay.
and I could run like another point 0.4 of an inch, another point 0.4 of an inch rotor on the front, up to a half-inch rotor going to that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Gotcha.
for me, it didn't make sense. And it's still something newer. SNS Engineering is the company that made the bushings, and they're still or at the time, everything that I read is they were still testing with those calibers,
Mm-hmm.
where the ATS is tried and true, multiple. There's probably more than 30 or 40 people that have not only bought the bushings but installed them. It's becoming a fairly similar swap, similar like what you were talking about earlier, and it was flawless. Very simple, you know. Took
Mm-hmm.
maybe 4 hours, and that's just because I was very gentle pressing the bushings. But
Oh, gotcha. I feel like doing bushings is something that all um, everybody that wrenches on the cars kind of dreads because removing them is a headache, and then pressing them on is like it's very very um, it's a very tedious process.
well, yeah, and then the other thing, and so for anybody out there, easiest way to tap out bushings, put a bolt in, thread it all the way through so it's flat on the other side. Put wood or something on it. Get like an anti-fatigue mat. I have Horstall mats. I have a small gym in the garage, a home gym in the garage, and I was pounding it out. The first few pounds take a little bit, but probably by like your fifth or sixth pound, you'll start seeing it come out, and then it'll just pop right out. Um,
Nice.
for me, it probably took hour and a half of the install time was just the bushings, because instead of the bushing going through the straight hole like the ATS does, it's actually at an angle to fit
Mm,
the brackets on the Mustang, and you had to file the bottom. So there's a lot of trial and error because I didn't want to take out too much. So I had to
gotcha.
get a rat tail file, and then one snapped, so I had to get another one, and
Ooh.
eventually we got it, or
Yeah.
I got it. My dad helped a little bit towards the end of the install, but yeah, no, it's definitely anybody who's looking at it. I think the calipers were like 140 or 150 each, from Amazon and some other places, and they came in, the GM box, AC Delco box, and all legitimate parts. So anybody who's on the fence, especially anybody with a SN95 or New Age Mustang, definitely check out SNS Engineering. I know the bushings are a little pricey for what they are, but the owner has done his work, CNCs them himself at, the shop that he works for. And by far it's, a great kit compared to Cobra rotors, which, are, I think last time I looked, $13.99 to $15.99. I mean, it's insane where I did it for half the price, if not less, and had better quality instead of just a dual piston, a four piston caliper.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, like I said, like I've heard a lot of people saying that they were good rotors. They had really good bite to them, along with a good set of pads. But I've heard also that they could be a little bit too aggressive, especially if, like if you're autocrossing or drifting or road course racing, you're going to be left foot braking. So like if you're left foot braking, like
they're aggressive.
apply
Yeah, so
a little bit too much pressure. Yeah, they could be a little too aggressive.
Yeah. So I'll say this: I was using my right foot. One of the cars that I daily drive on top of the Frontier that I have, or the Weiss Arteon, is an Explorer, and so going from braking, left foot braking to the Mustang, world of difference. So I'll give you that. I was right foot braking. You guys will see in the video if Eric adds them on. wasn't anything too heavy brake wise. There wasn't a big brake zone. It was just a test and tune, so it was 3/4 to a mile course. Fairly straightforward. Second gear, maybe mid to third, and come back down. So it wasn't anything overly crazy, but yeah, the car. I'll tell you this: the setup that I have now, I have 9-inch fronts, 10-inch rears, and my setup right now is good. Probably too much tire in the rear, if I'm being completely honest. I might go 18/9. I have to go 18s in the front due to the brakes. So I'll probably go 18/9 in all four corners, or I'd like to give that a shot because the 10s are just, there's too much meat. It's good I'm not breaking traction, but
Why
at
don't
the
you just get a
same
thinner
time,
tire? Or is it too
because
much wheel?
I'm on a two. It's too much wheel. I mean, I'm probably pushing anywhere from 225 to 260, 270 to the wheels, if I'm lucky, depending on how stout the engine is with the mods that I have. So realistically, I'm going to assume that I'm around 230 to 240. Realistically speaking, and it's just way too much tire.
What size tire do you have?
I have 285s on the rear.
Oh yeah, that's way too much tire. I have 285s on my Corvette in the back.
Yeah, yeah. Let me
I
double
would
check
probably,
that real quick.
I
Maybe
would
it's 275.
I would do like a 265 or 255. But you probably
So
have to get a thinner wheel because it'll look too stretched on a 10-inch
yeah,
tire
no, and I'm not in
or a
for
10-inch
stretch,
wheel.
but I also when I bought the Mustang, I was planning on either pro charging it or doing a Coyote swap, and one of
Hmm.
those is down the road. So rather than go through several sets of wheels, I just wanted to
Yeah.
do it once. And if I got to get new tires, fine. But it's different doing different tires versus different wheels and tires.
Hmm.
So,
Gotcha.
but yeah, the generals I'm on, great tires. 200 220 tread wear. I'm truly surprised because it's a great wheel and tire setup for what I need. I'm by no means it's not a full-time race car. I'll pick up the kids from school or do some street driving with friends, some cruising and stuff. But it's a work in progress.
Hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, you said you're looking
So
something up, right?
I was. Give me a second. This having some issues. Um, but anyway, going back to F1, I did want to say there is one little bit of news, and I don't know if you heard about it, but Sauber has stated that Alfa Romeo is leaving them as their major title sponsor. I don't know if you heard about this at all.
Alpha is leaving Sauber.
Yes. So Sauber, as of right now, Alfa Romeo has left Formula One as of the end of this year or this
I
this
thought
season.
that I thought that they extended their contract with Ferrari engines recently.
So Sauber did, but the title sponsor Alfa Romeo is leaving. So Sauber, the
Oh,
team is still going to
okay.
be there, but Alfa is gone. Now the interesting thing is, it looks like tomorrow they will be, um, doing an announcement.
Okay.
Everything that I read earlier said that it was going to be today, the 10th, which is weird. I don't know why they would do a Sunday,
Mm.
but um, I believe it's going to be Monday, or it was a typo and it's going to be January 10th. But
Oh, yeah, it's possible.
Sauber is going to be posting a new title sponsor, so that is something. It's not like the summer where it's silly season and there's contract negotiations and
Hmm.
you know all of this. Where we could even talk about Charles Leclerc's contract, that 5-year extension, which great for him. Checo kind of surprises me that I wonder if they're following up with Checo on another contract because or not Checo, I'm sorry, with Carlos Sainz, because Sainz outperformed Leclerc and was more consistent than Leclerc all season long.
Mm.
But
Yeah, I saw the
it'll be
Leclerc
interesting to see
extension
this.
to 2026, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It could be further, but yeah, I did see that his contract was
Yeah, it's
extended for quite
further,
a bit
but
of years.
there's a performance on both sides where if Ferrari isn't competitive and Leclerc is not competitive, there are outs for both of them on the competitive side.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure we'll get more definitive information on contracts, as the 2024 season is kind of going to be closing, because it's going to pick up end of next month for testing and tuning, and then February is the first race. March is the first race. But yeah, well, I'm sure we'll hear more information on that.
Yeah.
But
no, and it's good.
Yeah. But anyways, and on that bombshell, that's all the time we have here for today. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate all of our viewers and all of our listeners and subscribers. Don't forget to savor your brews and hit that road responsibly. Also, don't forget to hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. Cheers to booze and cars, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.